Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Abe Friedman. I work for the Borough President as the Intergovernmental Affairs. Thank you so much for coming out in support. I want to thank the Borough President and the elected officials, which you're going to have an opportunity to hear from very soon. Thank you, Rabbi Cohen, for working with our office to bring out the community and the elected officials. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Rabbi Eli Cohen from the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for turning out. And it's a very important statement that's being made by everybody that's here today. And that is, there is one key civil right that belongs to every single person in this city, in this state, in this country, and that is the freedom to walk down the street unimpeded. And when a gentleman on the way from services in the synagogue that's in the grounds of Kingsbrook, right across the street over here, when he cannot make it back safely a couple of blocks to his home because somebody started up with him completely unprovoked, in fact even worse than unprovoked, who tried to say good morning and wish somebody a good day, it's a very sorry state, and we really have to come out as an entire community of every race, of every religion, of every ethnic group, and say that we stand together and that this community is one community that's built on freedom of practice, freedom of religion, and freedom to walk down the street. So we want to give our thanks to the Borough President, Eric Adams, who is here, and his staff, Abe Friedman and Gil Monrose, who helped put this together, and also to everybody of the community and all the elected officials that have come here. And we're going to introduce everybody one by one as the turn comes. But first, I want to introduce the Borough President, Eric Adams.
Thank you, Rabbi, and all the leaders here, Deborah from the Jewish Museum, Ms. Sperling, district leaders, and others. Councilwoman also, Sam, has joined us. Clearly, when we saw this video and even heard of the attack prior to the video, it disgusted us. A hello should not turn into a hellish attack. And when you look at the faces of the people here, they represent Crown Heights. And there's an underlying intention that we must acknowledge, that a small number of people from this community has an attempt to associate the illegal displacement of longtime residents as being a Jewish thing. That is not the case. Jewish long-term residents are being displaced, just as African American and Caribbean. The fight for legitimacy, right to live here, is a fight that we are unified on. 1991, Crown Heights was ripped apart with anger, and we did too much over the last 20-somewhat years of bringing families and communities back together. We are not going backwards. And those who believe you could attack a person because of their religious beliefs or philosophy. Today you attack a Jewish person, tomorrow you attack someone from Trinidad or Christian or Muslim. We have a zero tolerance for this action. And I want to thank the ADL for putting up a reward to catch the person who's responsible for this action. Everyone who heard of this and saw that video should have reached a level of anger that all of us are experiencing now. This is Crown Heights. This is the ability of over 15,000 Jewish New Yorkers and Brooklynites and 150,000 plus people of color living in unison, shopping in the same shops, walking past each other, saying hello every day, interacting with their children. We are showing the entire country how you live together and embrace the diversity of this entire community. We're not going to allow individuals who want to exploit that to take away from the labor and what we have accomplished throughout the years. We've come too far to build the bridges, to allow the tension to be de-escalated, to allow someone to come in and blow that bridge up. We know hate crimes is on the rise. We know some of the things that is coming out of Washington, D.C. is attributed to some of the tension that we're seeing across the country. Brooklyn is not the place for it. We have a zero tolerance for this type of action, and that is why we responded in the manner that we did. It is chilling to know this gentleman walked down the block and said hello, and that hello turned into a violent act of what his dislike is for a particular member of our family. This is our family. The Crown Heights community has a diverse family, and an attack on one member of that family is an attack on all members of that family. A hello should not turn into a hellish assault of an innocent person that was walking the street, extending his cordiality to who he thought was his fellow neighbor, turned out to be an animal that would assault him in this manner, and that is why we're here today. So I want to thank everyone who has come out to send a very strong message. We may have many different cultures, but we're one community, and we're going to continue to say that over and over again. Crown Heights is not returning to the days when we were divided as a community. Thank you.
Thank you to the Borough President. And, you know, we're here at the site of one attack, but only a week ago, there was another attack that took place on Eastern Parkway, less than a mile from here, where two young men were walking down the street in the middle of the night, and a group of young people approached them completely, again, unprovoked, and it ended up with one of the young people that was savagely punched and then pushed to the ground and kicked by the entire group. Now, gang attacks, I thought, is a thing which is long gone in America, and certainly gang attacks of a racial nature do not belong. So we are here recognizing that also, and both of these attacks, coming one after the other, although they do not seem to be connected, gives us pause for thought and makes us ask the question, what is going on? And one of the things that I think is so important that is part of the statement that's being made today is that we look to our elected officials to de-escalate, to focus on the positive, to refrain from language which divides us and focus instead on language which unites us. And I know our Borough President has been a leader in that. And now we're going to turn to the two council members of the two districts that were the site of these two attacks. We're going to first turn to the council member for this district, the 41st Councilmanic District, Alika Ampry-Samuel, recently elected, who's already been a great force for good in the community. And we're going to ask her to come forward and say a few words. Alika Ampry-Samuel.
Thank you, Rabbi. Just good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alika Ampry-Samuel, and I'm the councilwoman for the district. And I just want to let everyone know that this is a little difficult because I've spent the past 8 days on a mission with JCRC to Israel. And while I was in Israel, I met several people who walked up to me and said, "Oh, you represent Brownsville and Crown Heights? My grandfather opened up the first laundromat on the corner of Picken and Stone." And then I ran into another woman who said, "My grandfather ran one of the synagogues and told me the location." And the entire trip was emotional and spiritual. And I came home on Friday, just this past Friday, looking forward to having conversations about how we can strengthen our community relations, how we can build together, how we can work together and really be united as a full community. And that was on Friday. So to turn around the very next day and hear about such a horrific attack was not only what the Borough President said disgusting, but it broke my heart. It broke my spirit again. And so I'm here to say that it will not be tolerated. We will do everything we possibly can do within the City Council to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And that really does start with making sure that the lines of communication continue to be open, and that we work with the 71st Precinct Council to strengthen or to really build on the Precinct Clergy Council, because we all have our own higher power, and we all need to make sure that we just look at each other in common decency and see each other as human beings, loving human beings, because we all see that, but there are just a few people in our community that speak to something else. But we just need them to see that this is not tolerated, this will not be tolerated, but we really are a loving and united community. Like the Borough President said, we are one community. And so when I thought that we were gonna just all hold hands and skip down the street when I return from Israel, we will get to that day. And it starts today. It starts today, everyone. So just thank you for this opportunity, and you having me a friend, you having me a partner, and you have somebody that is going to make sure that we bridge this community and we all work together moving forward. So thank you so much.
We will be hearing from Lori Combo in a few minutes as the council member for the district on the other side of Crown Heights. And we also acknowledge that we've been joined now by Council Member Chaim Deutsch, the chairman of the Jewish Caucus, who represents South Brooklyn, and we appreciate him coming, and perhaps we'll hear from him a little later too. In the order of the program now, we are going to Hanina Sperlin. He's the Executive Vice President of the Crown Heights Jewish Community, focused on governmental and public relations, and we'll call him to the microphone to say a few words.
Thank you, Rabbi Cohen. First thing I would like to thank the Borough President, Eric Adams, and his staff, Dave Friedman, for putting this together with the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council. I'd like to say, I got a phone call today from Assembly Dov Hiking. Told me today, this returned from Israel, today in the morning. Told me he couldn't come to the press conference because he's on his way to Albany. But he told me I could say this in his name. And anybody from the media have any questions, you call his office. He told me that he's a very successful businessman in LA, California. And who is giving $50,000 to get the person who did this Saturday to this victim. Again, I'm going to repeat. Assembly Dov Hiken said he's a very successful business person in LA, California, that is putting $50,000 to cast this person and bring him in front of the justice system what he had done. Let me continue. Jewish blood is not cheap. Nobody's blood is cheap. For we're living in 2018. We are proud to be a Jew. A person coming from his synagogue, this by saying, like the Borough President said, say hello, you punch him. I mean, it wouldn't have been for those two nurses that saw this person and tried to get him away. I don't know if this victim will be standing over here today. I mean, here, they were living. And so, we're coming into the month of the Shoah, when they killed 6 million people. For what reason did they kill 6 million people? One reason, because they were Jewish. And we don't want to see this thing happening again. I also want to thank the councilman, a woman, Alika Samuels, the new elected councilman. We started working a very close relationship together. I'm sorry for waking up Alika last night. I called her, I texted her, she called me back. Also, I don't know if she's here yet, Lori Combo, the majority leader of the city council, and Chaim Deutsch, like Rabbi Cohen said before, the chairman of the Jewish Caucus, and a good, close friend of this community. So we're just asking anybody that knows anything, who has any videos, to bring it over to the police, and we hope only report good news for the benefit of Crown Heights. Thank you very much.
Now, an important part of why we're here today is because we want to get the word out that we need the public's help to find the people that were involved in these two incidents. There are already videotapes available. Some of them have already been publicized on the media, and some new ones that have been found over the last 24 hours as we search further and further around the crime scene that will be put up. And we want to thank the police department, 71st Precinct, the Hate Crimes Bureau, and we have representatives here from Brooklyn South that have worked so hard and continue to work hard and will not rest until the perpetrators of these crimes are identified. So thank you very much to the police department, and please, please, anyone who can help out in finding who these people are, identifying them, and bringing them to justice. This is the main reason that we're here today. Now, we want to call upon the ADA, Assistant District Attorney, responsible for the Green Zone, which includes the area of these incidents, a good friend of mine, David Kleschik.
Rabbi Cohen, Co-President Adams, thank you for having me here today. Again, my name is David Kleschik. I'm the Bureau Chief of the Green Zone, which handles, among other precincts, the 71st Precinct. I'm here today to make sure that the Crown Heights community knows that DA Gonzalez is committed to making sure that all people that live here are not only feel safe, but are safe. We will continue to partner with the police department and community leaders to fight anti-Semitism and all crimes of hate, wherever and however it appears. DA Gonzalez pledges to do his part. Thank you very much.
Now, one of the things that's very important is the fact that faith leaders from so many different communities came and joined us. And I want to put up on the program next Reverend Stephen Stollett from the Mosaic Baptist Church, a neighboring congregation in the area, who has come forward. And it's very important to see that this is a multi-faith, a multi-ethnic coalition coming together against crime. Reverend Stollett.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Stallard. I'm the pastor of Mosaic Baptist Church right here in Crown Heights, and I want to thank the Borough President for putting on this event. This is so vital and so important. Someone once said that the two most important things in the world are loving God and loving your neighbors. And I am here today because as a Christian, I believe it is important to love my neighbors, all of my neighbors. So that's why I'm here to stand and represent my congregation, to stand with our Jewish neighbors in condemning these anti-Semitic attacks. Somebody has already mentioned the Holocaust. We're at that time of year annually where we will remember the horrors and the evils of that age when 6 million Jews were killed for no reason at all except for that they were Jewish. And we remind ourselves of this fact every year and we say, never again. But then when we see events like this, we recognize that it could happen again. And so we are here today to pledge, not here, not now, not in our neighborhood, and not to our neighbors. But there's another somber event that we just remembered. I had the privilege of being in Memphis to observe the memorial for MLK 50. In my tradition as a Baptist minister, many of us have modeled ourselves after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who famously reminded us that we are a man, that we are men and women who are created in the image of God. And so what I want to ask of all of my neighbors, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their creed, is let us recapture together this ancient ideal that we are made in God's image, and therefore every single one of our neighbors has dignity, worth, and value. Thank you.
Now, in addition to the representation from the Mosaic Baptist Church, we also have here Minister John Williams representing the Seventh-day Adventists, and we appreciate you coming out. We have Reverend Terry Lee, who also has a congregation nearby, and we appreciate you coming out, and we'll hopefully hear from you soon. In the meantime, I want to call up the next speaker, which is Deputy Comptroller Michael Lambert, who's here representing his boss, Scott Stringer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Lambert. I'm the Deputy Comptroller for Public Affairs in the Office of your New York City Comptroller, Scott M. Stringer. And I'm going to read a prepared statement from the Comptroller. I want to thank the Borough President and the Crown Heights JCC, Mr. Spurley, and all the other leadership that put this conference together, this press conference together this afternoon. Around the country, people are being targeted because of who they are and what they believe. Even in New York City, hate, specifically anti-Semitic hate, is spiking. In the past year, anti-Semitic incidents rose in New York State by 90%. And just this week, Brooklyn experienced 2 horrific acts. These are not just attacks on our communities, they are attacks on everything this city stands for. Diversity is our strength. We will always be a welcoming city. The fabric that binds us together as New Yorkers is stronger than the fear these senseless attacks seek to provoke. With increased threats here at home and around the country, we know that now more than ever, our communities have to come together, stand together, and fight back. There is no room for hate of any kind in New York City. We reject intolerance of all forms. That's why today is so important that people of all backgrounds and all faiths stand in solidarity to fight for each other and for what's right. Thank you for having me on behalf of Comptroller Scott M. Stringer.
Okay, now we have been joined by our council member for the 35th Councilmatic District, who represents the center of Crown Heights and to the north, and one of the incidents as mentioned took place in her district. The Majority Leader of the City Council, Lori Cumbo.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so important that we are here today, because if we weren't here on this street corner, united, black, white, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, if we weren't all united here today, we would be giving a pass, we would be giving permission to these types of horrific incidents to continue to happen in our community, in our city, and in our state. This gathering is important because by uniting, by coming out and condemning such a horrific attack, sends a message loud and clear to vibrate throughout the city of New York that we will not tolerate brutal attacks against our own brothers and sisters. We are living in a time, in our nation where we are being constantly challenged on a day-to-day basis. We have to come together on our local levels so that we can show the rest of this nation how we live together in harmony. What's so important right now is that I went just yesterday. I see my life so differently now as a mother. And for the 2 gentlemen that were attacked, those are the sons of a mother. Those are brothers. Those are fathers. And those 2 gentlemen will never be the same in their life again. That brutal attack will live with them and their families and this community for the rest of their lives. People may think that you've attacked one person, but you've attacked an entire family as well as their community. They will never be the same. While we will help them heal and to recover, they will never be the same. And we have to make sure that we raise our voices anytime a member of our community is attacked. And we have to remember, at this same time, what is so important. I just went as a new mom to Wingate Park the other day with my mother, his grandmother, my son, and I saw the most beautiful thing. There were Jewish children, there were African American children, there were Caribbean children, there were children of all races and nationalities and religions playing together as one people. And that is our goal. In this community, if you have an issue with diversity, African Americans, Jewish, Latino, Asian, LGBT, the disabled, all of the different religions. This is not the community for you. This is a community of inclusiveness, of diversity, and the people that are gathered here today fight every day to take measures to make sure that we can live as one people. And as the Borough Halberstam has always counseled me and saying, we're never going to get it right completely, but we have to wake up and try our best every single day. Diversity is a job that we must take on every single day, and we cannot allow acts such as this one to take us back over 25 years. Too much has gone into bringing us to where we are today, and we cannot let any acts disrupt what happens at Wingate Park when our children come together to unite and to play as one people. Thank you so much, and I am here. My condolences, and I have to say condolences. My heartfelt love and support goes out to the Moskowitz family, and I hope that we as a community can help you build and to know that you should feel safe in your communities. Thank you so much.
Just a note for the press that are here that the family asked that the family name not be shown on television. So that was just for the local audience. And I want to thank Councilmember Combo, because one lesson that a lot of elected officials need to take is that in every situation, it's about us, it's about inclusiveness, it's about a community. Anybody who's getting up and poking at one group or another to gain cheap points does not belong on the political scene. And I believe that Lori Combo and the other elected officials who are here today are examples of what it means to represent an entire community, and we appreciate you so much. So I just want to acknowledge a few people who are here on behalf of elected officials, and then we'll go to a couple more speakers before we get to the end of the program. I want to acknowledge Jonathan Shabshaikis, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, who's here representing a good friend and former representative of this community, Letitia James, public advocate. We have Howard Pollack, who's here representing Speaker Corey Johnson. We know that the elected officials from Albany were not able to be here because they're in session up there, but we appreciate Ruben Lipkin, who's here representing Senator Jesse Hamilton and has a statement, which we're not going to read on the air, but will be available. We have Jeffrey Davis, district leader. We have representatives here from the Assembly districts, and we appreciate them. We appreciate also Penny Hyken representing the comptroller also. Ali Slavin is representing our Congresswoman, Yvette Clark, and we appreciate you for coming out. We have Penny Ringel representing the Mayor's Office, we appreciate you. We have Richard Hurley, who's representing the Crown Heights Community Council, and he's always here and a friend in the community. And we have the leaders of the two precinct community councils, very important institutions that join together the community and the people. And we have here Carl Cohen representing the 71st Precinct Community Council. And we have here, for a couple of words, James Caldwell, who represents the 77th Precinct Council nearby. So we're going to ask Mr. Caldwell to come up for just a very brief 1 minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Caldwell, President of the 77th Precinct Community Council. When I first got elected in a volunteer position 21 years ago, the first thing that we did is that we reached out to the Jewish Community Council to let them know that we wanted to work with them. And I'm happy to say for 21 years, we have been with them. So, you know, sometimes actions speak more than words. All I just want to do is one gesture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. That was really beautiful. Thank you. There's a very important institution in this community that brings together children, young people, and older people of all faiths, of all religions, of all backgrounds, of all ethnicities, and that is the Jewish Children's Museum. And the leader of the Jewish Children's Museum on Eastern Parkway, who's represented it since the beginning, whose son is the inspiration and the memory for which the museum is created, and who's here right now and is going to share with us a few words, Deborah Halberstam.
President Eric Adams, because I only heard you say a few weeks ago, Eric, that it starts with only one thing, and it grows. So My son Ari Halberstam was murdered on the Brooklyn Bridge because he was a Jew. I want you all to remember that. I am also the liaison to the 71st Precinct. I am here to tell you that one story like this is too many stories. That I have been living in this community my entire life from when I was a little girl up until this very day. I've seen a lot with my own two eyes, but I have also lived through the greatest horrors of my life. And I am here to tell you today, I will not, on behalf of my entire community, on behalf of all my elected officials that are my brothers and my sisters, on behalf of the precinct and of the NYPD, that we will never, ever, ever tolerate anything of this kind to anybody in this community, no matter who they are, Jewish, black, non-Jewish, Christian, Muslim, etc. Okay, this is our community, and you cannot and will never do this again. So thank you all for coming here today and to standing with us together. I'm so proud of this, of everybody being here, and my heart is with everybody as we stand together. Thank you.
Now, we're very touched also that we're joined by the leadership of several very important Jewish organizations that represent the community at large. And for the sake of just giving everybody a chance to say a few words, I just want to acknowledge them and give the leaders of these organizations, very important organizations, a moment to speak. We're going to begin with Evan Bernstein, representing the ADL.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Borough President Adams, for convening us today. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of the victims and the victims themselves, not only this past Shabbos, but the Shabbos prior. No Jew, no minority in this city should ever have to walk the streets in fear. We thank the NYPD for all of their incredibly hard work, Hate Crimes Task Force for everything they're doing to try to bring a closure to these two cases. That is